All right, hello guys, and welcome back to the WaffleBalling podcast. Today we got a very special episode for you guys. Not really, but we're just going to be doing a quick little recap of the Premier League, the last match week, and then we'll talk about a couple games from La Liga, and then we'll talk about our predictions for the first leg of the round of 16 for the Champions League. So let's start off with our top geezer of the week. Varun, you got this one.
Shut up, you soppy wanker!
Yeah, this one we're taking you guys out to Spain. This was in the Real Madrid Girona game, and 39-year-old Luka Modric had probably the best goal of the week. It was off of a corner. It was off of a corner. It bounced. It went to the penalty area, bounced out, and Luka Modric one touch, and he volleys it in from I don't even know 29, 30 meters out. Absolute rocket, and yeah, it's crazy to see that Luka Modric is still doing it at this age, man. Like, Unk still got it, bro. Like, I don't know what to say. I was awestruck when I saw this, but yeah, this is for sure the best moment of this week. I don't know if you had anything to add to that, but what a goal.
No, I mean, this has got to be one of the best goals from his entire career, which is crazy that it's coming so late in it. I mean, Luka Modric is one of the best players of the generation, so I'm happy for him. I'm glad he's still playing and kicking around, and he's shown that he can still compete at the highest level. So
Yeah.
shout out to him.
Yep.
Next, we're going to talk about a guy that may not be able to compete at the highest level anymore. Our wanker of the week is going to be Kevin De Bruyne. So, as much as I don't like Man City, I do have a lot of respect for KDB. He's one of the best players in the Premier League era, one of the best players in Premier League history, for what he's accomplished. But I think it's time for Unk to let it go, hang up the boots, move to MLS, because that performance against
Oh my God.
against Liverpool was just ridiculous. I know there's a viral clip of him trying to cross the ball in the box, or was it? I don't. I think it was a shot actually, to where it just went so wide it almost went out for a throw in.
Yeah.
It was just awful. And then there was also the other clip of the missed tackle where he goes sliding into the dugout. And I'm like, those two clips are going viral, but I don't even think that illustrates like how terrible of a performance it is.
Yeah.
I mean, I pulled up the Font Mob. He had a 6.6 rating. He was the first person subbed out of the game in the 66th minute.
Dang.
I mean, it was an atrocious performance from De Bruyne. So
Yeah.
yeah, I hate to see it, but
Yeah, I mean, coming from like this KDB being like their key like playmaker, for the last couple of years, it's kind of crazy to see. I mean, injuries kind of just like screwed him over and all that, but I think it might be time for him to come on over to the MLS here, man.
yeah.
But
I mean, we were talking about him like he had a lot of injuries over the past few years, and we're like, oh, well, if he could just stay healthy, this Man City team could be dangerous, man, with KDB back. But no, they might actually be worse.
yeah, yeah. So that's our wanker of the week. Match recaps time, Fletcher.
I think so. So, kind of segueing that into, we're going to talk about Liverpool Man City here. Liverpool got a 2-0 win over Manchester City. Huge result. They are currently 11 points clear, but they have played an extra game over Arsenal. So that is worth taking note of. I think it was interesting in this game because Man City actually dominated the possession and had the majority of the shots, but they weren't really able to create anything quality. Every quality chance of this game was on Liverpool's side, even though they had the possession was like 66-34 or something crazy like that. Like, it was pretty dominant from Man City possession wise. And I believe the shots were like 10-6 or something like that. But Liverpool had every single big chance in this game.
Yeah.
Just giving a little game recap. The first goal came from a redirection from Mo Salah in the 14th minute. And then in the 30th minute, Manchester City's best chance in the game came when Omar Mamouche made a nice little run and scored, but it was ruled offside, unfortunately for him. And then Szoboszlai scored in the 37th minute to make it 2-0. That was the end of the scoring for the game. It ended 2-0. Salah and Szoboszlai each got a goal and assist in this game. And I guess the question is, do you think this is like, do you think Liverpool have like one hand on the trophy at this minute or at this moment, or do you think they still have some work to do?
Personally, I think that Liverpool has, if they keep up, at least if they keep up the run of form that they're currently in, they should easily win the Premier League trophy here.
Mm-hmm.
I do think Arsenal getting that loss last week. I personally was very surprised to see Arsenal lose that game. But we'll talk more about Arsenal after this. But I do think that Liverpool has a strong chance of winning the Premier League this year. What are they currently? 11 points ahead? Yeah, 11 points ahead of Arsenal right now. So it would be a crazy bottle job to see if Liverpool choke this, to be honest.
At this point in the season, I wrote down the remaining fixtures, but they have home versus Newcastle, away versus Southampton, home versus Everton, away at Fulham, home versus West Ham, away at Leicester, home versus Tottenham, away at Chelsea, home versus Arsenal. That'll be a huge game.
Mm-hmm.
And then they end the season away at Brighton and then home versus Palace. So really the two big games, you have, I guess, three big games here, Tottenham, Chelsea, Arsenal, right in a row near the end of the season. But if they can go into, potentially as it stands right now, assuming that Arsenal win that game in hand and everything stays around the same, that match, that third to last match of the year against Arsenal could potentially be the game that decides the league. So I think that's very interesting. It's very rare that you see that in the Premier League where the two top teams play each other that late with the league on the line. And that game will be at Anfield, so it would be absolute cinema if Liverpool win the league against Arsenal there. But I think that's getting a little ahead of ourselves. There's still a lot of games to play. And, you know, stranger things have happened. Liverpool have bottled the league a lot.
I personally do think that if they win all of these next couple of weeks here, and they keep up all those points until they're probably gonna beat Tottenham. Let's face it, they're probably gonna beat Tottenham.
Yeah.
If they keep this this amount of space between Arsenal and Liverpool, come the Chelsea game, I think Liverpool basically has a title in the bag, if not already. Because if Arsenal even loses one game in the span of the next 6 weeks, assuming Liverpool wins them all, I think Arsenal's title hopes are gone. Basically, there's almost I don't know. I don't really think they have a chance at all. So if Arsenal and Liverpool keep on winning, Arsenal's just got to hope that Liverpool drop points. But judging from their next couple of weeks, I really don't think they will.
I think the only thing that could potentially screw Liverpool over here is just the fact that they have so many fixtures. They have the Carabao Cup final coming up.
Yeah.
They have
UCL.
the Champions League against PSG, which is a lot tougher of a matchup than Arsenal has. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens. But I think if Liverpool can come away these next 5 matches, winning 4 of them, I think it's wraps at that point.
I do think it's interesting that you brought up that PSG match. How do you think Liverpool actually stack up against PSG? Personally, when I look at these two sides here, PSG of course has been on fire. But their PSG's attack here is no joke. Kvara, Gonzalo Ramos, Dembele, Barcola, Doué. And I think they have Lee Kang in, but I feel like Liverpool's got a lot on their hands here, defending wise against this stacked PSG attack. Do you actually think that Liverpool basically has this in the bag, or do you think it'll be a very close game?
No, I'm incredibly worried. I think it's going to be very close. And one of the talking points I had for this Liverpool-Man City game was about Trent, who, even though they won, it's no secret that he had a pretty horrific performance. I have the stats written down here. He was dribbled past 12 times, which is I've never seen that a player get dribbled past that many times before.
Yeah.
And then he only won 3 out of his 15 duels. That's only 20%. So, I mean, he got absolutely torched. And he does worry me a lot going against those quick attackers, those skilled players on PSG. I don't fancy his chances against Dembele, for example, who I think will just absolutely cook him if it's a one-on-one situation.
Yeah.
Um, so I do think PSG matches up very well against Liverpool, and I think also one of the things I had written about Liverpool was in this game we saw Szoboszlai kind of playing as the main attacking role, and he played
Yeah.
actually really well. He had a
Yep.
goal and an assist in this game.
Yep.
Nunez and Jota were both left on the bench, which was interesting, but both of them have been struggling a lot recently. They've honestly been the reason why Liverpool have dropped points recently. Both of them have been just complete ass, to say it lightly. But I don't know. I think this is a kind of an interesting change that Liverpool have put, because I think Szoboszlai is an incredibly talented player who has kind of struggled to find his spot in this Liverpool lineup over the last couple of years, and I think maybe they're finding him in this attacking role where it's kind of like a false nine playmaking role in a way.
Yeah, yeah.
But him and Salah just played amazing in this game.
I really do love Szoboszlai.
Mm.
Man, y'all can keep Trent. We don't want him anymore. Okay, I mean, like, Trent, wonderful player, wonderful player. His passing is brilliant, but defending wise, no, I don't really like his defending at all. I feel like it's no like surprise to anyone that he's not the best defender.
Mhm.
But yeah, I do feel like Trent. Who would he be lining up against in PSG? That'd probably be Cavara. I do think that's a very very tough lineup or matchup. So I do think that Trent has a lot on his hands this week, this coming week. Who else plays right back? Is it Connor Bradley?
For Liverpool, yeah, Connor
I think
Bradley.
he's injured, so
Yeah.
it will be Trent. So if I were Liverpool, yeah, I'd probably be worried about that right hand side. But yeah, I do think that Liverpool, arguably the best team in Europe right now. Premier League, I think they have basically a hand already on the trophy. If they do come out on top versus this PSG team, I think that I fancy their chances to make it all the way. Until they face us, Real Madrid.
Okay.
Semifinals, we'll see you there.
Hey,
But
if
we'll see you there. We'll see you there. But yeah, I do really fancy Liverpool. I do really like Szoboszlai in that false nine basically role. But yeah, should we move on to second place right now?
Yeah, the game that cost me my parlay. Arsenal with a shocking 1-0 loss at home against West Ham.
Yeah.
Yeah, not much to talk about honestly in this game, other than I think Arsenal without an actual striker on the team, now that Havertz is hurt, it's just impossible, I feel like, for them to score goals other than like on set pieces, which
Yeah.
is a problem.
Yeah, so losing Bukayo Saka, I think, really just like screwed over like this entire Arsenal attack. I mean, it's been like he's been out for a couple of weeks now, so Arsenal's still been getting points, but losing Havertz, man, losing that number 9, I think they lost Gabriel Jesus too. So, losing both of their number 9s kind of is, it's really screwing them over. And then, of course, now you have Miles Lewis-Skelly, who's one of their other attackers, getting a red card in this game. So next up, I really do think that Arsenal will be dropping points at some point in the next couple of weeks, just because they have no attack whatsoever. Miles Lewis-Skelly probably suspended for a game or two.
Yeah.
So all they have is what? Trossard. They had Skelly, but he's gone now too. And then I forgot what's the other Arsenal like youngster? I don't remember his name.
Midfielder?
He's one of their youngsters. He's like 17.
That scored against Man City.
But
Think about the same guy.
yeah, we'll put a picture of him. But yeah, I really don't fancy Arsenal's chances in the next couple of weeks. But yeah, 11 points behind Liverpool right now. They have to win this game that they have in hand, and just hope that Liverpool drops points if they want to win the trophy. Do you think that Arteta's in the hot seat here. This is yet another year that Arsenal has not won a trophy since the FA Cup. What do you think? Like,
No, I don't think so. Because I mean, he's brought Arsenal back into the limelight, into one of the prominent spots in the Prem. Even though they haven't won it or really won anything major, it does remind me of when Liverpool were first on the come up with Klopp.
hmm
It took them a while to actually win a major trophy. They lost the League Cup final. They finished, in the top four a few times. And then they were finally able to win that UCL in 2019 after losing the league on the final day. So
yeah,
I still think like Arsenal, they've just been one. I think they've kind of been unlucky. Like last year, most years, 92 points. I think is what they finished with.
yeah,
92, right?
yeah. I think
Yeah, I
something
think
like
that's
that.
right.
It was like 92.
It's
Yeah,
around 90 points. Most times that's enough to win you the league. It's just unfortunate
that's
that City
unfortunate. Yeah,
were just a little bit better. And I mean,
yeah.
they made it to the quarterfinals of the UCL last year. They'll probably make it to at least the quarterfinals again this year. Like
hmm
they're on the come up from where they were not that long ago. I mean, this
Yeah,
is the best Arsenal side since what 2006 when they lost the UCL final. I don't know.
yeah.
Like even though they've won trophies in the past like 10 years, I mean the FA Cup like it's cool, like it's historic, but like I'd rather be competing for the Premier League and the UCL than winning the FA Cup.
I'm
Like that's just more important in my opinion.
I'm so surprised that social experiment 2020 Arsenal team somehow won the FA Cup.
Yeah, one of the
Um,
worst Arsenal teams in recent
yeah,
history.
I'm so shocked on how they won that, but
Hmm.
I do think that Arsenal, they just have to keep on winning their games. I know it's gonna be really tough for them without their star boy attackers, but if they want to still be in this race, I think that they have to keep on winning and just hope Liverpool loses. But
Yeah.
let's move on to Chelsea. Last weekend they lost to Aston Villa. And in a game that Aston Villa actually made the comeback in.
Hmm.
Um, Chelsea did end up winning today 4-0 against lowly Southampton. But let's talk about this Aston Villa game here. Marco Asensio is back. He had the two goals, and then Rashford assisted both of them. But what happened to Chelsea here? And we know they scored early with the Enzo Fernandez goal, but what happened to them? They've just not been the same Chelsea we've been seeing at the start of the year.
Yeah, I think it's just a classic example of a young team that I feel like flew too close to the sun, I guess, is a way of putting it. So I think they were in second at one point, right behind Liverpool, and people were like, "Oh, is this going to be a Liverpool Chelsea title race?" But I just think this Chelsea team. Well, I like this Chelsea team a lot, and I
Uh huh.
think there's a very bright future ahead for them. I just think it's too early for them to be competing for like the Prem. I think their focus right now is one, they need to win the Conference League. Like you can't lose that. I saw the bracket that came out for that, and I didn't even recognize like half the teams on there.
Yeah.
So I mean, you gotta win. You gotta win the Conference League first off, and then you gotta finish top five. That's the goal for Chelsea. If they do both those things, then this season's a big success,
hmm
regardless of what their expectations were earlier in the season when they were second in the league. But yeah, this was a disappointing loss. I feel like they had control of this game very early on. They took an early 1-0 lead,
Yeah.
and it felt like Chelsea were in control of this game, and they're gonna see this one out. But shout out to Asensio, shout out to Rashford with the two assists, especially the last one. I think it was like an 89th minute goal to give Villa the lead, or it's very late in the game at
Yeah.
least. Um, so yeah, I think we could say like Cole Palmer didn't have a great game,
Um.
but
Yeah.
I don't know. I think I still like this Chelsea team a lot. I still think this season's been overall very positive for them.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then in terms of Villa, um, they're on a roll as well. I think their expectation was, I mean, at this point, where are they even at in the league standings? They're
They
in like the
just they
top six, right?
no, they just dropped today. They lost 4-1 to
Okay.
Palace today. Which we should talk about. We'll talk about in a sec.
Okay.
But yeah, that loss today, Aston Villa dropped to 10th, but
Oh, wow. Okay.
the top 10 in the Premier League, I think. in the top five contention, I think everybody after, well, everybody except for Liverpool, you know. I think
Mm,
everybody's very close to each other in the so like 10th place to like third place are
mhm.
not that far off. I think they're a couple points off, maybe like 5 or 6 points off. So
Yeah.
top five, I think, is basically anyone's game. Aston Villa, I do think, are should aim for that top five spot, which they definitely can
Mhm.
get with this bolstered attack. But yeah, horrible loss from Aston Villa today, losing 4-1 to Crystal Palace today. But I really do think that Aston Villa bounces back. I do this new their new attack is very good. They got Daniel Malen from Dortmund, Marco Asensio from PSG, and now Rashford from Manchester United. It's basically just completely like revamped their attack. They've been really good. They've been scoring a lot of goals, except for today, but they've been scoring a lot of goals. But I really do like this Villa team. I do think that they are a solid team. I think that they'll finish top five.
Yeah, and a favorable matchup here in the round of 16,
Mm-hmm.
which we'll get to in a little bit. But yeah, also very high on Aston Villa. There's just a lot of really good teams on the rise. I feel like in the Premier League.
Yeah.
I think it's gonna be very interesting going forward.
Um, Going back when you talked about Cole Palmer, I saw a stat line today actually that Cole Palmer's created 25 chances, I think, in the past couple games, and he's only scored off of three of them. Which
Mhm.
Cole Palmer has kind of been on a stinker run recently. Compared to like earlier, when he was just bagging everything. I think he had the stat was like it was like out of 44 chances he scored 11 goals. But now in like the past like couple games, I don't know how many games it was. I don't remember. It was an ESPN FC stat, but um, yeah, he's only scored 3 goals in the last couple weeks. But yeah, I think Cole Palmer is a star player, is the star player at Chelsea. I think that if he gets back into form, I think Chelsea will be fine. Um, they do have Nicholas Jackson out right now, which probably hurts him, but I really do think that as long as Cole Palmer is balling, this team will actually be able to create something.
Mm. No, I agree, and I think that's one of the biggest reasons why they've been in a slump recently is
Um,
because they're so reliant on him.
yeah, but let's move on to arguably one of the most disappointing teams in the league
Mhm.
here. Fletcher, do you want to talk about this Everton Man United game?
Yeah, sure. I guess we could say these are two teams that are not on the rise. But Everton Man United ended in a 2-2 draw. Man United did come back from down 2-0 to get the point. So good for them, I guess. But Man United are now 14th in the league. Just as we thought things couldn't get any worse than last year, it's somehow worse.
Oh yeah.
Um, I mean, they've gone through multiple managers at this point, and nothing has changed. I mean, the players they've spent so much money on transfers. They've spent more money than almost anyone in Europe, and this team is still just booty cheeks. And I mean, even with stuff going on outside of just the on-field performance, um, with Jim Radcliffe is trying to like downsize the club and cut a lot of the spending. It's been firing. I think I saw a recent report that he fired like another 150 to 200 people. Um, I mean, it's just like it seems like just a horrific place to be
Yeah.
at right now. Just to be a player there, to be a
Mhm.
worker there, to be a fan. Like it's just awful.
Yeah.
Um, but I don't know. And then now I think what makes it worse is you're having ex-Man United players like Antony and Rashford and even Sancho, who we saw last year, had really good glimpses at Dortmund after leaving United. So yeah, I mean, I don't even know. I feel like everyone's given their takes on what's wrong with Man United at this point, but no one knows. I mean, because it keeps happening even after they're making all these changes. They've tried all these new things. Like
Yeah.
at some point, it gets to a point where it's like, what do you even do now?
I completely agree. What do you like talk about the issue here? Like, what do you think is just wrong with the club? Is it just the entire club? Like, I personally believe that all of Manchester United as a whole, the entire club as a whole, is just rotten to the core. That's like the main issue. They
Yeah.
completely have to rebuild this club if they wanted to go back to the old glory days. That, um, but Do you think Amorim is the problem here? But like in a way,
See, I don't really know because I actually really liked Amarin
that's what
at
I'm saying.
Sporting. I
Yeah,
think he's a really great manager.
yeah,
And like you could say that maybe he's the issue at United. I think there's a very good chance that he doesn't make it, or he'll make it to the end of the year. But I feel like there's a good chance he gets fired in the off season, especially if they keep dropping in the standings. But I really don't know at this point. Like we saw that with Ten Hag as well, who even with all the memes and jokes and stuff, Ten Hag is a great manager. He's probably going to find a job somewhere else pretty soon,
yeah.
and probably bring that club back to pretty big heights like he did at Ajax.
I do
So
think. Oh yeah, go on.
I was just gonna say I really don't know what's going on with Man United. Even like we didn't even mention their stadium, which is a complete disaster right now too. Like everything that can go wrong is going wrong, and maybe it's
Uh,
like karma for the last 20 years of devil magic and all that they've been doing. But
yeah. I
I
mean,
really don't know.
I do think like their squad in general is just not like what you think of like when you think of a Manchester United squad. Like
Mm-hmm.
like just think about like Manchester United like Wayne Rooney, Ronaldo, um
Roy Keane,
yeah, Roy Keane,
Ferdinand,
yeah,
yeah,
Tevez,
Ryan Giggs.
yeah, you think of all those like big name players, And current Manchester United, what do we have? Xerxes? Hjoland? I don't see anything like
Well, yeah,
I do think like one of their like the only things that are good in the club are Kobe Mainu and Amad Diallo, and both of them are currently injured. So
yeah.
I saw a stat that I think Hjoland hasn't scored in I think Hjoland hasn't scored in 16 games. Garnacho hasn't scored in 19 games. So
Yeah,
these guys are not like Manchester United level players. Like I personally really believe that Xerxes was just an average striker before they signed him, coming from Bologna. Um,
mm,
but these guys are not like what you think of when you think of a Man United player. Um, but yeah, that's basically what I have to say. Like I do think that the players themselves are just not on the same level as like what you'd expect Man United to have.
yeah. I don't disagree with that. And I think one of my problems I've had with their player recruitment over the last few years is they've been going after a lot of young guys with a lot of potential,
Yeah.
but are overall like very unproven. And they've been paying absorbent amounts of money to try and get them. Like Anthony, for example,
Oh
very
yeah,
raw,
yeah.
unproven, yeah, talent that they paid 100 million to Ajax for. I mean, you're buying high for something that's so like volatile and unproven. Like if this was like a stock market financial decision, this is like the worst thing you could possibly do.
I also don't
Um,
think that they're developing the players as well as they should be. So I do think that it's part of
mhm.
the training regime. Cause like
Yeah, and I think
yeah, go on.
I was gonna say even like thinking back, you mentioned like the Man United players of old. All most of those players came through the academy. Like that original like Man United team from the '90s that really started popping off.
Hmm.
You had Giggs, Roy Keane,
Yep.
um, you had Gary Neville, you had David Beckham. I believe Roy Keane was a Academy player at least. I mean, maybe he wasn't, but you had a lot of guys on Man United coming through their academy. That's where they got most of their starting 11 from.
Yeah.
Now they're shopping around trying to buy the best like young prospects in world football. And like, yeah, you may hit on one of those guys, but the other nine that you buy are going to be complete duds, and you're just wasting all that money. Um,
Yeah. Um, I just I do think that it's also the part that no one wants to go to Man United at this point. Like you do have like players
mm,
like Osimhen, like I know Man United tried to get him, but I just don't think that he wanted to go there, to be honest. But I do think that it's got to be up on the board to actually sign like big name players here. Like
mhm.
they need like a star name, Like Man United has always had like that one guy, one or two guys, that like household names, like Wayne Rooney or like Ronaldo back then. I mean like Wayne Rooney and Ronaldo. Um s- I don't think anyone on this current Man United squad is like at all like that big of a player. I do think if I was a manager, everybody would be on the transfer. Everybody would be on the transfer list. And just completely rebuild this team. But
Mhm.
yeah, I don't really have much to say about this.
Yeah, I mean, it's just kind of a double-edged sword because it's like you need a big player to come in to save this team, but no big player wants to come there because they're so dysfunctional at this point.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know. I think they're just going to have to. It starts with the manager. I think Amaron. I don't know. I know he has results wise, but I do like him a lot.
Yeah, I
I
do.
think if you gave him a fresh slate, a full off season to really build out his plans with the club, get the
Yeah,
players that he wants in there.
I do think
Um,
also if he tries to go after his man from Sporting, if he tries to go for Gyökeres, I do think that he would be a good number 9. I don't.
mhm.
He'd certainly be better than Hioland and Xerxes at for 100%. But
Yeah.
I do think Amorim. I don't know if Amorim lasts. I do think that he should try to go for Gyökeres because they did have chemistry together. He did
Hmm.
make Gyökeres what the top scorer completely last year basically. Um, but yeah. Should we move on from some to a higher note here? Uh,
Yeah, let's move on.
let's move on to Spain here. Just quickly, let's touch on this Real Madrid 2-0 victory versus Girona. We talked about that Luka Modric goal. The news is coming out that Luka Modric wants to renew for another year with Real Madrid. And Carlo Ancelotti also wants him to renew. So, um, I don't really think there's like much to talk about here. It's club legend. Just yeah, it's Luka Modric, man. Like I don't really know what else to say. But let's talk about the game here. Raul Asensio, once again shining, showing why he's one of the best defenders that Real Madrid has currently. And the big story here is Vinny Jr. He bagged his first La Liga goal since November. Um, and he's still the second top scorer. I think Mbappe's at 33 goals and assists right now. Vinny Jr. is probably at like 29-ish. So,
Hmm.
yeah, Vinny's still cooking, but Real Madrid currently are tied for first place with Barcelona. I think Barcelona are above them just because on goal differential, but what did you think of this Real Madrid performance here?
Um, yeah, I mean, this was a great result from them. With such a competitive La Liga season that we're having, it's really important that they get all the wins that they can. And it's tough against in La Liga when you have most of the teams that are going to be parking the bus like every single match, especially when you go up against Real Madrid. Um, and then yeah, I don't really have too much to say. I guess we could talk about the other two big teams in
Yeah,
La Liga,
they
their
actually
games.
they actually played each other today. I don't know if you saw that.
Really
It was in the
interesting.
Copa del Rey, Atletico Madrid and Barcelona. They played each other.
Mm.
Let's touch on that actually real quick. I'll just quickly touch on that. Atletico Madrid scored 2 goals in the first 10 minutes, and then Barcelona made a comeback, scoring 4 goals against Atletico, only to lose that lead to end in an Alexander Sorloth 92nd minute equalizer
What
to end 4-4.
the hell?
8 goal thriller in the first leg. And this was in Barcelona too. So
Wow.
Barcelona are going to Atletico. I don't know when they play next. Second leg, but yeah, what the hell? Um, I know we do. Barcelona did win last weekend in La Liga against Las Palmas, but and then Atletico also won against Valencia. But Barcelona's defensive issues have still been like prominent. I know we've been talking about this for weeks now. We've actually been talking about this for weeks now. That Barcelona's defense is not that great. They're just relying on their attack to score more goals than they let in. So
Mm.
I don't know. Like this Atletico Madrid Barcelona game today really just showed how weak Barcelona actually is. One through ball over the top, and their defense is cooked. Like
Mm.
I don't know like what to say about this. I don't know if you have anything to add to that, but yeah, this is like their
No,
main issue. Yeah.
I did not watch the game today, but I guess I should have. Holy shit, dude! What the hell? You would have expected that from Atletico of all teams to drop 4 goals, but I don't
Yeah.
know.
Barcelona's won like, I mean, they're let's go with two. Two of their standouts here today were Pedri and Lamine Yamal. Of course, who you'd
Mm,
expect to kind of go off. Pedri, man.
yeah.
This is coming from a Madrid fan. Pedri is special, man. This guy is actually special. He can control games. He basically just dictates the tempo of every single game that he's in. He basically
Mm,
just plays like another Iniesta, basically. But yeah, this back line that Barcelona is running is, this high line is not it. The high line is not it. Um, Choking. I think Atletico scored 2 goals in 6 minutes in the last 6 minutes of the game to equalize it.
mhm.
So I don't know what the Barcelona defense. I do think that when they did go up 4-2, Barcelona just kind of stopped the pressure. They kind of just like they just kind of relaxed themselves. They kind of became complacent. And I think that was the main issue with this game. Coming next week, Barcelona does play Benfica again, which if you remember last time Benfica played, what was that, like a
It was
four
a
to
five
three?
four.
Yeah,
I
it was like
think
five, yeah, five
it
to
was very high
four.
scoring.
Yeah, 5-4. So Barcelona does not have it easy by any means.
Mm.
And Benfica, we saw, is clearly an experienced enough team to exploit that back line. So this back line is still
Yeah.
an issue. Something we've
Mhm.
been talking about for weeks now.
Yeah, I mean, I personally, I kind of like the high line. I think well, first off, I like watching Barcelona because it's such a like entertaining team to watch when they play that high line, like
Uh-huh.
pressing style on the
Yep.
back. But it is very like risky. I mean, you can give up some goals very quickly when you're playing with that high line, and no lead is safe. So yeah, I guess that's something to take note of. But I guess you want to get into our UCL predictions. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, let's get into predictions here. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, do you want to go over last week's predictions?
Yeah, I'll talk about last week. So we had predictions over the last Prem week, and unfortunately, neither of us were able to hit our parlays. I had my parlay was Brentford, Arsenal, and Brighton winning, and Arsenal, out of all three of those teams, was the one to choke with that 1-0 loss to West Ham at home. And then Varun, you had Liverpool and Bournemouth did not win.
Yeah.
So
um yeah, the current score right now between me and Fletcher is currently 4-0.
yeah,
I haven't hit a single parlay since like week 1, bruh. I don't know.
and I haven't hit one ever.
Yeah.
So
um
this is honestly a lot harder than we thought it was going to be,
yeah,
but
we're
it's fine.
come May, I think it'll probably be like 10-9 or some shit, bro. Like
Yeah.
we're not going to put up any points. So
Hey, that changes today. Or we're bagging both of these.
yeah. So next week, as you may know, is there's UCL fixtures. So we're gonna be predicting the first leg. I know last time we predicted both legs combined, but this time we're gonna do
Mhm.
the first leg of each game. So there's 8 games. I don't know who has the first pick.
I believe you do.
I have the first pick. Okay.
Mm.
Um. So let's just go over the games real quick. Aston Villa playing Club Bruges. Real Madrid playing Atletico Madrid, and I think that one's at the Bernabeu. So, um, next up we have PSV versus Arsenal, Dortmund versus Lille, Feyenoord versus Inter, Bayern versus Leverkusen, Benfica versus Barcelona, and PSG versus Liverpool. So, gosh, I'm a as for my first pick, I'll go with Inter. I think Inter will be Feyenoord.
Ooh.
I really do like Inter.
Okay.
There's no way Feyenoord takes out both Milan teams, bro. I really do
Yeah.
think
Hey, you never know.
I think, and I'll go out and say a Lautaro Martinez brace for Inter.
Wow. Okay. So if Lautaro Martinez doesn't score a brace, I'm counting that as
No,
wrong.
no, no. Yeah, but
Okay. So you take an Inter to beat Feyenoord. Okay. Okay, so I got back-to-back picks here.
Yeah.
I did not expect you to take that one. I'm not gonna lie.
Mm.
Um, I'm looking at Villa versus Club
Yeah, that's an
Brugge.
obvious one right
Even though
there.
I guess Club Brugge has pulled off some upsets though,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
maybe it wouldn't be smart to pick them. But I am gonna pick them for at least one of my
Yeah, I feel like
picks.
all these other
I
teams
just
are
think
like
that's
really competitive, you know?
yeah. Real Madrid versus Atletico. I'm not gonna pick that. Arsenal versus PSV, maybe. Dortmund versus Lille. That could go either way. Bayern versus Leverkusen. That could go either way. Really, I feel like it's really just, do I trust Arsenal more or do I trust Barcelona more? I think I'm gonna
Let's
try.
see.
I think I'm gonna take Barca to
Let's
beat
see.
Benfica.
Let's see where the first
I think
leg
that's.
is. Uh,
Oh, it is the first leg. You're right. The first leg will be at Benfica.
it'll be at Benfica.
Yeah, I believe it's always the lower seed.
Yeah, Benfica has
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
So all the underdogs are going to be playing at home, which is interesting. Actually, that is worth noting. I didn't even think about that, but I'm still going to take Barca to beat Benfica.
Yeah. Um, I don't particularly like any of these other games, to be honest.
Mm,
I feel like Dortmund versus Lille on paper should be like a smash game for Dortmund, but we've seen Lille actually be like a decent contender. So
yeah.
I don't really know. Um, gosh, I you know what? I'll go with Real Madrid. I kind of have to, you know. My club, I believe in them. I believe that Real
All
Madrid.
right.
It's at the Bernabeu because Atletico are the higher seed, so we'll see. But I do think Real Madrid gets a win here.
Okay.
And then
Is that your last pick?
after that, man, I'm not confident in any of these other ones. So yeah, I'll stick with the 2 leg parlay.
Hmm. I'm feeling bold. I'm gonna take Arsenal to beat PSV then. If you're not gonna take any more,
Nah, yeah, I'm
I do
done.
think I am relatively confident in that. Um, I'm definitely confident that Arsenal will win that overall. I don't know about the first leg specifically, but
Yeah,
I'll take a chance there.
I feel like do
And then
we?
I'm
Yeah,
also
yeah. Go on.
I'm also going to take Liverpool to beat PSG the first leg,
Ooh, is that
even though that's very risky. It's in
at
Paris,
Paris? Ooh, that's interesting. That's
but
interesting.
I do think Liverpool are the better team. I do expect them to win this. So I don't think it's a bad bet to take them to win this first leg.
Hmm.
It'll be close. It'll probably be like 2-1 or something like that. But I'm gonna back the boys and take
If
Liverpool.
you hit these, man, you're gonna be tied with me, assuming I lose. But
Yeah,
yeah. Are you gonna go with any others? Are you
no,
gonna?
I'm not.
um,
Maybe should I just take all the remaining matchups?
I don't know. Maybe you should get some points on the board first.
Yeah, probably, dude. Okay, but when one of these hits, dude, it's gonna be crazy. It's
Yeah,
gonna be
maybe
like
just hit a
6 points.
hit like a 10 leg parlay. um, yeah. So basically, I'm gonna be sticking with my Inter and Real Madrid to win next week. Um, are you picking anyone, any other ones, or are you just stick with that 4?
I am contemplating taking Dortmund here. I'm not gonna lie, but I think I'm gonna stick with my 4. I don't.
Hmm.
I think Dortmund. I know if I take Dortmund, they're gonna be the team that bottles it for me. So I'll stay with what I have.
All right. So you had Villa,
Yeah.
Arsenal, Barcelona, and Liverpool.
Yep.
All right.
I like that. I like that.
Yeah. Let's pray that our predictions hit this week. Praying that our predictions hit this week. Cannot have another
Yeah.
0-0 week. But yeah, thank you so much, guys, for watching. Be sure to check out our other podcasts if you're into like the MLS and stuff. We started a podcast about our local club, St. Louis City SC. So if you guys want to check that out, please do. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. We'll see you guys in the next video.